Ted Long is one half of Ted and Amy in the Morning on 93Q Radio here in Central New York. I brought you in because you do, I believe, have unique perspective on this, being on radio for so long. What do you make of the prank phone call itself? Them calling up with those fake British accents and trying to play with the nursing staff there. Was it funny?
Well, it has the premise of being funny. Sadly, it had tragic consequences. I'm sure the last thing these two Australian DJs were planning on doing is having this nurse kill herself. And it's tough to see the media totally laying the blame at the feet of the DJs. I'm sure the nurse probably had some other circumstances in her life that caused her to do such a drastic thing. Maybe this was the one thing that pushed her over the edge. I don't know.
Prank phone calls have been a staple of radio DJs, particularly during Morning Drive, which you've been on for so many years. They've been a staple because they work, because the audience likes them?
Well, things have changed here in the United States. We used to do them every week. We used to do our Thursday fun phone prank. The FCC came out with a ruling a few years ago where you have to notify a party that you are going to tape them for broadcast prior to taping them. So that kind of killed the whole premise of doing a fun phone prank. So we stopped doing them. The ones that you hear now on the radio in the U.S., for the most part, are scripted or, phonied up or staged somehow. Sadly, it is a staple of morning radio to try and appeal to as many people as you can. That kind of humor does tend to, get a lot of listeners. Have
you ever done something on the radio? These DJs are now crying on international television. They have been vilified to some degree. Have you ever done something on the radio that later you either took heat for or that you somehow regretted?
I'm sure there have been instances where I've said something maybe and regretted it later, but again, you never intentionally want to hurt somebody's feelings or humiliate someone publicly. Sadly, maybe a consequence sometimes of, an off-the-cuff remark, but no, I don't think I've ever purposely done anything.
These DJs in Australia are playing and paying a pretty hefty price. Their show is no longer. They probably will have to seek work elsewhere, I would imagine. The public sentiment is so incredibly split. On our Facebook page, we asked in anticipation of your arrival here as part of this segment, does the punishment really fit the crime? I mean, do you think that the radio station where they reported to work had any choice but to cancel their show, given the fact that this is now international news?
Well, from what I understand of the story, they did not get the permission of the nurse to air the phone call. I would never air anything that I didn't have the permission of the person. And obviously, as I mentioned before, now you have to get prior permission. Other than if a listener calls your request line or it's implicitly implied that you're going to put them on the air, like they call a comment line or something. But if they didn't get a permission and they aired it, I think maybe they do bear a little responsibility for that,
So some responsibility.
I'm not sure about being, vilified across the planet, but yeah, I do. I mean, and as I mentioned here, there are instances now where if you do violate that FCC ruling, you are fined. I'm sure if I incurred a $10,000 to $20,000 fine, I'd be let go too.
Is that what the fine could be from the government if you are in violation?
For instance, yes. So
not getting someone's permission for recording them for the purpose of broadcast on the radio. That's
in the event of a phone prank type thing. Yes.
Wow.
It's a pretty hefty fine.
So you're finding other ways to keep us entertained.
Oh yes, My 12-year-old mentality is now up to at least 14 years old. So
good, and you're not in violation of anything.
Knock on wood.
Not yet. Ted Long from 93Q. Tell Amy I said hello, and Merry Christmas to both of you. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.